Is that it? Is that it? There we go. Oh my god, I've had to press the button 17 times. I think we'll go now, are we? Will it show up? Yes, there we go. We'll go. We are live. Live for our update. Right, let me pop the chat out. Whoa, that's loud. I'm just checking it working on my phone. It's the best device to use. Are we good? Are we good? I can see messages coming through. Kettle must be on a slow boil tonight. I've just said this, but yeah. It was. Took ages. Look at this. Look at this amazing Lynch, not sponsored. might be in the future. Perfect cup of tea. So yeah, that's why I'm 5 minutes late, and also the connection issues. Hello, Glitter Sunflower. How are you doing? So today's stream is going to be focused on Storm Bert, which some of you might have heard about. After obviously the snow and all the excitement, even the south saw some. I've seen the lovely photos. That we are doing the Storm Bert watch, where areas are going to be affected. We'll have a look at the warnings to start with. Hello, Chris. How are you doing? Let me get up the let me get it up. Met Office. Here we go. And then we'll just put it to, I don't know, Manchester, because this is the best location you can pick. And then I can just put on the warnings. There we go. UK weather warnings. Here we go. So we've got no warnings today, but there's obviously been all of the heavy snow over the last few days, so that's brought some excitement. Let me just make sure we're all good. Yeah. Hit them like buttons and get the stream shared out. I've got your chat messages on the side though. So to start with, on Saturday, basically the whole country is covered in warnings. There's some rain warnings in the south. Let me make sure everything's in. Should have organised this before, shouldn't I? But this is what happens when you're me and you're a bit lazy. But yeah, there's some yellow warnings in the southwest for wind. Strong winds due to Storm Bert likely to cause dangerous coastal conditions and disruption across southern England. So that's valid from 3 p.m. in the afternoon tomorrow until Sunday evening at 9 o'clock. Strong winds due to Storm Bert and south or southwesterly gales. Locally severe gales likely to affect many southern counties of England from Saturday afternoon until Sunday night. Sorry, I just need to turn that off. It's distracting me. The strongest gusts will be along coastlines with gusts of 60 to 70 miles an hour possible around exposed headlands, while elsewhere gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour are possible. Next, we've got the rain warning, which is for the southwest and also into parts of, most of Wales. Heavy rainfall will affect much of the UK this weekend. Rain is expected to develop during Saturday morning across southwest and southern England, become particularly heavy and persistent overnight into Sunday. I'm surprised this is not an amber warning, because 50 to 75 millimetres of rain is quite high. Chance that some places of Dartmoor could see 150 millimetres. They've had a few centimetres of snow in the last few days, so obviously that's going to melt. Snow melt as the milder air moves up. That could cause some disruptions, such as flooding. There's a rain and snow warning for Saturday for Northern Ireland. Outbreaks of rain and into Saturday morning may be preceded by a spell of snow for a time, especially on high ground, but not exclusively. Exactly where snowfalls will depend quite heavily on both elevation and the intensity of precipitation, with any snow accumulation at low levels likely small and fairly short-lived. There you go. 5 to 10 centimetres of high ground, 10 to 20 centimetres, and then obviously a rapid fall of any snow, because then rain accumulations of 20 to 30 centimetres. Move on to the main brunt. This is for central and northern England, extending as far south as around Buxton and Stoke-on-Trent. Outbreaks of rain will spread northeastwards on Saturday as the cold air and the milder air, the colder air is being cleared away. Could be a transition of rain to snow back to rain. Outbreaks of rain will spread northeastwards on Saturday, preceded by a spell of snow across parts of northern England and Scotland. Don't know why I'm acting so sassy. While snow will become increasingly confined to high elevations with time, there is a chance of a transient period of snow to low levels in some areas, with perhaps as much as 5 to 10 centimetres accumulating in places, especially the Vale of York, before turning back to rain. Well, what I will say is I had a look at the dew points for my area. Here, and the dew points are about 1 degree, so that means that the most that would probably happen is sleet, because the dew point has to be 0 degrees or lower for snow to form now let alone accumulate on the ground. Ground temperatures, air temperatures, everything has to be perfect. But your temperatures, your general temperatures, can be below 6 degrees and below. I think it's something like that. You've just got to have the right conditions for it. But yeah. Right, and then that's the main brunt. Outbreaks of rain, spell across parts of northern England and Scotland, turning back to rain, temporary accumulations of 10 to 20 centimetres of rough, 150 metres of perhaps as much as 20 to 40, and then strengthening winds, which could cut off power. Got yellow warnings for wind for northern Scotland, which is 60 to 70 miles an hour on coastal areas and possibly high ground and exposed coastlines. And then we've got this amber warning, which is, for central eastern parts of Scotland. Heavy snow will spread northeast on Saturday morning, giving significant accumulations in many areas. Accumulations of 10 to 20 centimetres are likely on ground, typically above 200 metres, with potentially as much as 20 to 40 centimetres on hills above 400 metres. Then it turns back to rain, then there could be drifting and blizzards during the heaviest spells in the morning. Strong winds from the southwest. We'll have a look at all that in detail. I just wanted to look at that, and hopefully I didn't bore you with information to start with. Can I ask how you got into weather? Yeah, flooding will be the main risk from Storm Bert. Rain and snow melt, exactly. It's going to be quite mild as well. I reckon it could be like quite high, temperatures tomorrow. It could be quite mild. Can I show you got into weather? Yeah. Used to watch many weather channels about 2020, 2021 when we had I can't remember, a snow event in was it January or something, 2021? And then obviously I used to have a little bit of an interest when it was Beast from the East. Obviously everyone did, with what was going to happen next. Then I started watching Gav's weather vids. A lot of you probably know him. And then I decided to make my own content a few months ago. Stopped doing it because other things got in the way, and then I started doing it again. I just find it a lot of fun, really, and I like doing stuff myself, but I also want to just keep developing and improving my content to appeal to what I must do. I must be doing something right, because I've gained I don't know, 300 subscribers this month or something crazy. That could also be the snow as well, but again, still quite a few people watching them before. Flooding will be the main risk, though. Yeah, I agree, exactly. And even into everyone else on the stream, yeah. So we've done the UK weather warnings now, and obviously they extend. The amber warning goes through Saturday and Sunday, and the main risk is definitely rain. Could be still some snow to high elevations across northern Scotland, as the cold air is always in northern Scotland, isn't it? But the main risk is flooding, rain. Could cause some disruption at times. We'll have a look at the some of the models, what they're showing for Storm Bert. Then let me just make sure everything's all aligned. Got 10 of you in here as well. Cheers all for watching. So I'll get everything up, because some people mentioned that I didn't show enough stuff on the charts when I make the videos and stuff. So I'll try and make it a bit smaller so you can see everything. So this is the GFS. What it's showing for Friday. So obviously quite a lot of dry weather around, a few coastal showers, maybe wintry overnight, probably more sleety mix though. And again, the showers are diminishing as we're under a ridge of high pressure, or we have been under a ridge of high pressure today. There's the wet weather just to our southwest, and that's going to progressively move inland. And obviously the colder air is getting budged away, and then at the boundary there's some potential for some snow. I don't know why I've drawn it there, but then there you go. So through Thursday and Friday turns to heavy snow in Northern Ireland for a time, quite heavy, maybe even into parts of the southwest Wales, but quickly turning back to rain in the south. Bit of a snow event for northern England, could be quite heavy accumulations, but very temporary, as it gets cleared away very quickly, but some very, very heavy precipitation rates. So with the thawing snow which falls between 6 and 9 a.m. on Saturday, for central northern regions, quick thaw of that with the extremely mild temperatures coming up for the time of year anyway. Might not feel great under all this precipitation. Milder air meets the cold air, shoves the cold air away. Look at the deepness on that low, 937 millibars. That must be some sort of record. That's crazy winds. That's how you can see high winds in northern Scotland and south western areas. then just swirling around of this low pressure, suddenly stuck to our west, and just bringing in these bands of heavy rain, which could actually bring a little bit of thunder. Look at that, it's like a squall line which you'd see in the summer. Which is just going to be very heavy precipitation through central southern England, according to the GFS, and then again, eventually it goes, high pressure builds in, and another band, which is bringing actually some snow over the highest hills in southern England. Don't take that with any sort of certainty. Before back into a drier air mass, and it actually stays quite dry towards the very end of the run. With that one, it stays dry for the whole rest of the run. Ooh. So yeah, there's the GFS. So we can actually have a look at the 2 meter temp march. Look at the dew point, actually. I'll show you the dew point. So the whites are indicative of colder air, and you can see the greens down to the south are indicative of milder air, or like milder dew points anyway. So place where you wouldn't see snow. As you can see through Saturday, 6 a.m. and most areas are actually moving into the 0 degree or -4 line. So the snow risk is being shifted further northwards through the day, which is why snow becomes confined to the hills, and eventually a lot of areas are milder until next week, until next Thursday, where the dew points do go a bit colder again, only temporarily, before they shoot back up again into space. The max temperatures, as you can see, so they've been about 4 to 5 degrees today. Not great, besides in the far southwest where they saw the snow, about 8 degrees before. As you can see through Saturday, temperatures slightly come up, and then they really come up through the day. Look at them air masses, 13, 14 degrees at night. Obviously, it could be higher locally. Look overnight though, 14, 15 degrees. That's crazy for this time of year. Then by 3 p.m. on Sunday, it is widely 15 degrees in the southeast. So before being shoved away, but it stays quite mild for much of the run. GFS actually shows high pressure over the top for a lot of its run. We'll have a look at them later, but we're not too bothered about that. Let's have a look at the ECM. This has just come out. Do you think it will be cold in December? We'll have a quick look at the longer range charts, Chris, as well as the ECM ensemble thing. But I've seen a few of the wild American model runs today, and can't see it coming off. Obviously, it was right at the bottom of the scale. Then the other models were a little bit less optimistic on warm weather. Well, not warmer, but you know what I mean, milder conditions. There's the wet weather tomorrow. From the ECM. Transitional snow event, Saturday 6 a.m. Central England up to northern England, producing a widespread snow event. Heavy rain on its back edge, moving in, and it's all gone by 12. And then we're into very wet and stormy conditions. I would not be surprised if there was some issues, not just with wind, because the wind's going to be quite high. We'll have a look at the wind charts on here. Wind gusts, here we go. You can see the low in the Atlantic spiraling around with winds over like 100 kilometers an hour. 156 is the maximum of this low, and you can see those winds stay towards northwest Scotland, producing 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 60 to 70 miles an hour. So it's pretty intense. Look at the southwest as well and southeast. They're seeing some strong winds as well. Not sure how much. Probably between 80 and 100 kilometers an hour. So definitely above 60 miles an hour there. Before it clears away and the winds start to die down eventually. But yeah, the main risk is rainfall. As you can see, look at them rainfall totals. Geez, 70 millimeters, 50 millimeters, 60 millimeters. Lots of high rainfall totals showing up. So it's a very, well, I'd say it's quite a significant storm anyway. See, look at all that rain by the end. Geez. But yeah, it looks obviously a rain to snow event, and then actually it shows that next low on this run as well. So that's quite interesting. Bit of cross model consensus with this low pressure running to the east around Wednesday this time, not Thursday. And then more snow events for Scotland. And then the risk is there of colder air. Look, it does dig in the colder air at a time. Then it clears away very briefly. More snow showers arriving from the north, so Could actually be a risk of more colder air around the 5th of December with the ECM. We can actually see air masses, I think. Yeah. Here you go. So you can see oscillating between, obviously, the cold mass, air mass at the moment being shifted away, bringing down more colder air masses, going relatively mild before another Arctic blast. Before going mild again. Just quick, brief northerly shots. This actually looks quite good for winter. I must say, it looks very good for winter. If you want like northerly shots, but you don't want it to stay quite mild for the winter, then these northerly shots could produce obviously a bit of cold. Then you could obviously get nice sunshine in the milder spells. It does kind of look like that sort of pattern. Could just be like, you know, the cold snap and then it's gone for a week or something like that. Which is what typically happens in this country. Next, we'll have a look at the a Rome run. This is a French model, and it's run very similar to the Arpège, I find. If it loads. Oh, that's how it looks. Oh, well, that produced a snow event for central northern England. You can just see it on the top of the chart there. Not very well, but there's lots of rainfall for the south and southwest, as you can see, which is why there's yellow warnings in place. Amber warning for Scotland because it deserves an amber warning, doesn't it? Let me go back on there and then that one. Load. No, it's loading them. 1 minute. 1 minute. It's loading my charties. Come on. There we go. There you can see, I'm looking at central England here. That's why there's a risk of snow. 8 AM for central northern England. Heavy rain at its back edge, producing quite heavy rainfall, high rainfall totals. But it's all cleared away, all turns back to rain, and heavy rain. Looks like a really wet weekend. If you've got any plans, don't, because it looks really wet. Sunday might not be as bad according to this, but then the wet weather's kind of just hovering around everywhere. But Saturday looks like a washout, snow and rain. If you live on some hills in northern England, you could be snowed in for a time before it turns all back to rain. So it won't be too long-lasting impacts, but could still be some disruption with transient snow. And now we'll have a look at the GEM. As that rain to snow event, snow to rain, rain to snow event, snow to rain, and then it clears away, and then lots of wet weather for a long time. 10-day trend, and it's just showing wet weather the whole time. So not looking great. Alright, John, how you doing? Hope you're good on this brilliant evening. To be fair, it's not been too bad. What's my minus 0.6 at the moment? Pretty chilly. Can't beat a cup of tea. Right, I'm going to my favourite website, BATTER. And we'll have a look at the latest chart data. This is the GFS, which is running out to the next... I can't do that. 14 plus 6, 20 days. It runs out to the next 20 days or something like that. Or something like that. I can't remember. 24 days, isn't it? Oh, wow. I don't know. No, it's like 16 days, sorry. Again, there's that low to the west. And you can see low pressure to the west. With Storm Bert. This is Bert with a big B. Low pressure to our west. High pressure to the east. And winds are in from the mild southwesterly direction through Sunday. As you can see, that Storm Bert sticks around the country, so it could produce long-lasting impacts, especially for Scotland and Northern England. Then there's still some high pressure to the north, just very weak. And it begins to bring in a colder or cooler air mass from the northeast with a low pressure sliding to the east, high pressure building out to the west. Very transient though. Bringing in another patch of cooler air, maybe colder air. But there are a few wintry showers possible before high pressure topples over the country and looks quite dry. Not incredibly mild. Looks very settled though. High pressure just sits around the country. Could be quite a cold ridge as winds are coming in from the northeast, and you can see for much of the run it's not really very mild. Maybe from about the 30th could be a mild air mass, but there could be an inversion going on there. Again, around day 10 just goes green, so pretty average air masses, nothing too spectacular. And then eventually, at the end of the run, the high pressure's kind of sat through Western Europe, and we're bringing in a very slack airflow from the east. But it's not particularly cold or mild at the time of the year. Can't beat a cuppa, send its catchphrase. Yeah, that is my catch. That's what I'm known for. No. GEM next. This is the Canadian one. Again, very similar pattern for the next few days. There's Storm Bert, Bertie B. And then another low pressure arrives from the south. Bit different, bit more mild with GEM. Doesn't keep the cooler air in as long. Before going to a very mild air mass, which is from the southwest around Friday. Very mild and very unsettled. And Atlantic looks to be in power. Low pressure running in the Atlantic and looks like it's about to head in from the west. Not much blocking. The low pressures were on a northerly track as the high pressure was centred sort of over the country and to the west. But it looks like the lows are about to enter in. So unsettled and pretty mild with the GEM. That's probably will turn mild for a time. I still don't doubt that. It will turn mild definitely for a time. The ECM actually runs out to the same length of time, 15 days as the GFS, so that's quite fun to see. You can see how they compare in the long range. Again, a bit more of a northerly or northwesterly with the ECM. Puts us under a ridge around Thursday, so dry and cold with a bit of frost and fog. Then low pressure starts running in off the Atlantic again. Another northerly shot, doesn't last very long. Back into westerly winds, turns northwesterly for a time, and then high pressure begins to build out to the west, allows colder air masses to sink in from the northwest. But it's not particularly cold, it just feels seasonal for December. There's that brief northerly shot, which could bring the -10 line into Scotland. Wintry showers, doesn't last long, high pressure topples in, unsettled again, and default pattern really. For most of the run, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, and winds in from the west. Do dear. What were you saying? Earl Grey tea. Ooh. I used to like Yorkshire tea, but it's a bit expensive, you know what I mean? But I drink a lot of PG tips now. I know. Dark side of tea. Now, I've drank it for ages, probably a few months now. I find it pretty alright, to be fair. Let me pull up this thing. ECM. Have a look at these very quickly. This isn't going to be a long stream today, by the way. Just wanted to quickly go over Storm Bert, Bertie Boo, and a quick look over the long range. So we'll have a look at the extended range. Don't take these too literally. This is just for a bit of fun at the end of the stream. If anyone's got any suggestions for anything they'd like to see, any longer range stuff, then please do let me know before we end. Or any thing about Storm Bert. But we'll just have a quick look at these. So, mean sea level of pressure anomalies for the 25th of November to the 2nd of December. High pressure centre just to the east, low pressure out to the west, and winds up from a very mild southwesterly direction. High pressure centred through much of the Europe. Still colder than average, probably because of the start of the spell. It is a little bit colder than average. And then obviously cooler air masses do arrive at times, not too much of a deviation. Week 2 will be the 2nd to the 9th of December. Doesn't look great. Look away if you want something colder. Low pressures towards Greenland and Iceland. High pressure towards France and Western Europe. And winds are in from a west or southwesterly wind. So quite mild again. Looks dry and mild really. Probably unsettled at times, especially in the north. Temperature anomalies are 1 to 3 degrees above average. Look at all the cold air to our Eastern Europe in the freezer, Western Europe in balmy conditions. Now, week 3, the 9th to the 16th of December, slight tilt to the air, so high pressure's just trying to transfer to the west, but low pressure's still dominating through Greenland. Winds may turn into more of a northwesterly, but not too much deviation. Would still probably be above average, as that shows there. Above average. Cooling down a little bit, but obviously it's a little bit of a weaker anomaly. How cold's Russia? Well, that's a good question. Russia's quite cold. It always is. At this time of year, it's always cold, and it remains cold. I've seen pictures of Russia in the past of it snow laden. You know, areas like that, snow laden. You know, of course, in your most mountainous parts, it's the snow laying on the ground for most of the year. But yeah, you minus 20, minus 25 air mass. We get excited over -5, and they get like minus 20 and minus 25. Even in November, probably is something like that. Week 4 is the 9th to the 16th. I mean, the 16th to the 23rd. ECM's been very pessimistic with his high pressure to the south and probably low pressure to the north. Winds remain from the west. That's a very bad drawing as well. Again, not much change. Temperature anomalies above average. Oh dear. Taking us through the Christmas week, and that looks even milder. High pressure to the east, low pressure in the Atlantic, and winds in from a very mild southwesterly. Ugh. Look away. Looks like heights are trying to build towards Scandinavia there, but the Atlantic's too powerful. Temperature anomalies above average once again. Well, it's snowing Leeds. Probably a couple hours of transient snow before it turns back to rain. Now this takes into January. Oh dear. Low pressure towards Greenland. High pressure towards Spain and France, and winds up from a very mild southwesterly. Dear me. This looks dreadful. This is the worst update I've seen from this, and look, it's going even stronger, milder than average. Dear me. Well, that's not a great update from the ECM, is it? Never mind. Never mind, there's always next year, folks. No. Take that with a pinch of salt. It always tries to go mild, that run. Sometimes, in the very rare case, it does actually go colder than average, and everyone's happy, and then it doesn't come off. Aldmore's Almanac saying a massive drop into winter at end of December. You know, I actually kind of could believe that, to be honest. I think that we will see a definitely cold spell. That's quite bullish, but I do think we will see a cold spell. I mean, look right now, it's -1, and what's that? Oh, we're looking at the dew point's -4, so it's pretty cold here. I didn't think we were going to be this cold tonight. Wow, there you go. I thought we were going to be like 0 or something, or 1. But -1 here, and a -4 degree dew point. That's crazy. But yeah, I do actually see like a week of cold spell. GFS 6 said was in the freezer. Well, we'll quickly show that. Why not? Why not? Just for a bit of fun. Yeah, the GFS is always pumps out these mild runs, well, these pretty cold runs or pretty bullish runs sometimes, and this was one no exception. The high pressure to the east, bringing up the winds from the southwest through Saturday the 30th, and then into the extended range. See a little bit of a high pressure towards Greenland, weakens away before eventually I'm on the wrong run again. I'm on the wrong run. There we go. Right, we're back. Well, sorry about that, everyone. I was looking at the wrong one again. High pressure builds over, winds from the south. However, high pressure begins to move towards Scandinavia, and winds begin to drift in from the east. A little bit of a trough to the south, but it's probably not particularly cold, as you can see there. Could be slightly cooler air mass moving in, like -5 into the far southeast. Could produce a couple of wintry showers. Not going to look into it. But as you can see, high pressure moves out into the west, into the Atlantic, going up towards Greenland, and you can see the cold air is wrapped up just to the north towards Iceland. The high pressure towards Greenland pushes away and squeezes the high pressure towards Scandinavia, causing it to collapse, and winds go into a very cold north or northeasterly, and that's a prolonged block. Look at that. Block towards Greenland. Wow. That would be a sustained block, you'd imagine. High pressure blocking around Greenland, low pressure towards Scandinavia, and winds are in from a very cold northerly wind. As you can see, the -5 line is through the country. Oh dear, everyone will be talking about that. And this is around the 5th of December. Maybe you were right, John. I'm not sure yet. This is obviously the GFS, so I'm only kidding. Take it with a grain of salt. You see in the extended range. That keeps the northerly and right until the very end. Definite snow potential with that. Could be streamers, could be troughs, could be anything really. I will say it doesn't look as unstable as the northerly we've had recently, but you can see even there little features and little troughs in the isobars forming along eastern coasts especially, but could be inland as well. That came off, but we're not going to look into that too much. See little lows like that, we're definitely tracking towards Biscay and France, but you can see the Atlantic's on a southerly tracking jet before eventually it probably is about to collapse, but that'd be an extended cold spell. It wouldn't be great for people who need to pay the heating bill, though, would it? But it'd bring a couple of days, definitely. A few days of cold there. Yeah. But obviously that's an extreme run, and I think it was right at the bottom of the of the ensemble. There was a few runs down there, but it was right at the bottom of the ensembles. There's been a slight subtle shift towards the middle of next week for conditions to not be as mild as expected, but only around average. So I'll play for, I guess. But that probably will not come off. If it did, the us weather presenter will be loving it, because it's more exciting to forecast that than dry weather, isn't it? There's always something to talk about when there's snow in the forecast. But anyway, to summarise, the UK is going to get... yeah, I'd love that. I do not remember 2010. I was not old enough to remember 2010. All I've heard is that I missed out, basically. There's that 14-year cycle, isn't there, actually, which people have been talking about. So there was 2010, 2024, 25 be the cold one. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So there was 2010 that was a cold one. 96 was a cold one. 81 or 82 was a cold one. There's that 14-year cycle. Could that come off in 2024? I mean, none of the longer range models are picking up on that, but who cares about that? Come on, let's be optimistic and let's say it's going to be a cold. It's going to be a cold winter this year. It's been too long with that one. 2018 was March and Feb. Better not ruin it now. Now, it'll definitely happen. If I've said it's going to happen, it definitely will happen. Why am I holding a ruler? Yeah, if I've said it's going to happen, it definitely will happen. Just saying. I've bumped the chances up to 58% now of that happening. But yeah, if this came off, I'd be quite happy with that. Definitely have a few snow potentials there. It'd be cold enough anyway. It'd be very cold enough. Can we have a look at the upper air temps and the 2 meter temps with that? Yeah, look at that. Through the days, not much above 2 or 3 degrees, and yeah, overnight frost definitely possible, and air frost as well. Scotland -7, probably as low as like -10. And there you go. So going through everything now. There is actually a few things. Just wanted to say that if you do enjoy my content, then please do leave a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. So thank you all for watching. Follow me on Twitter at SendItsWeather or something like that. I'll have it linked somewhere on my channel. And then I've also made a Blue Sky account, but I'm not going to push that yet because I need to see what the platform's like. I know a lot of people have jumped the bandwagon, but I'm alright on X or Twitter or whatever it's called for now. But cheers all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next stream.